do you share that with your clients? I mean, walk us through that. How'd this all get started?
And I can do this so well because I get it. No, I've never had a chronic condition, but I have had a eating disorder, which is a chronic disorder. All right. And I suffered from bulimia, first PTSD, which was then through the PTSD, I was diagnosed with the bulimia and binge eating, and I did that, Gary, for almost 30 years, and I didn't realize that's what it was because I was like, I'm not skinny, right? And to be even more frank, black people don't get that. Do that? Don't get eating.
Right? Right? I know. See, now that shit'll get you in trouble, right? You start throwing that at me, no, don't even bring
Yes,
that.
yeah, here we go. But to that point, and luckily my family wasn't like that, but for real, I did, and I did not. It was my shame. I knew that I was doing something wrong because I would hide, the food that I was gorging on, and I would hide the bags. And my kids, when they were young, they would say, "Mommy eats all the snacks, and she eats everything," but they did not. I wasn't skinny, right? So I did not associate my trauma and the way I was eating, or did I even relate body dysmorphia? Right? That was another thing I had. What I saw was something completely different from what it was from my previous traumas and being violated, sexually violated, right? And so I, while I've not had a chronic condition, I have had a chronic disorder that kept me bound. And I realized from that, going through therapy first, that because I would try to stop and I couldn't. And going through therapy and being formally diagnosed with it and then even put on medication, of course, because that's the first thing. But in my case, it was necessary. And in a lot of people's cases, it's necessary in the beginning. But I also realized I don't want to be on this stuff. I feel weird. I feel weird. Right. And it wasn't helping me. So my psychiatrist at the time told me, well, if you exercise and get your serotonin up, your endorphin and your dopamine up, and your serotonin levels up, it will have the same response as your medication. And we can reduce it, which we did. I started doing Zumba, which I always loved exercise anyway, but I started to do Zumba and then started doing other things and got more involved. This is before I was in healthcare, right? And I started feeling better, and she kept reducing till she took me off and I no longer needed it. But I understood what happened. So even now, I still have those traumas that I dealt with. And I learned through therapy how to identify them and my triggers and all of that good stuff. Right. But they still exist. So I know how, from my trauma, the therapy that I went through and the experience of exercising, that if I don't exercise, I will fall into a depression, which will then lead me to binge eating X, Y, and Z. But I had that knowledge. So I knew then, right? And then I gained all this weight at turning 40 and all of this. So I started to realize that there's a connection here, right? And so that's why I can say to my patients that are suffering and have been on metformin and all these medications for decades, it's here that's keeping you bound. So, yes, I'm going to give you everything you need on the surface, and I'm going to make sure you understand why, because that's what worked for me. When I started to understand that exercise was got me off the med, and I still had the same feeling that I felt when I was on the med as far as feeling better, it helped me to see. So my patients need to get that same thing. And so my online programs, or even when they come to see me personally and I'm billing insurance or whatever for them coming to me, I still attack it the same way. I have to attack it from a mental perspective. And I don't even just say from the beginning, let's do mindful eating. What the hell is that? That's hokey. I'm not doing that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Although in my initial paperwork, I do have them complete a form that will help me to know if they do have an eating disorder, whether it's just stress eating or emotional eating, or if it's actually a deeper, like me, bulimic anorexia. And then in that case, I have to refer them out to someone because that's out of my scope. But at least I know how to identify it. So that, I hope that answered your question and gave you a little bit about my own personal journey and how I was able to relate that.